everyone. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of your favorite trio, Retro Warriors, reviewing good old shows. I'm the leader of the Retro Warriors, Justin B.A., aka Barlock and Lead Fighters, and with me is my lovely two cohorts on this. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. Your favorite crossover fanatic here, and I am the wild card of the Retro Warriors. And yeah, intro. I am so excited for this, and I can't make an intro for shit. I'm still working on it, people.
And as you already know by now at this point, if you haven't been watching, you have seriously to climb out under that rock. Anyway, this is Hazard Chaos, sarcastic bastard and researcher of the Retro Warriors, who has to look up the painful, soul-crushing research revolving around basically the cartoons and shows we watch. That we binge watch for you guys, so be grateful.
That's right. As always, what our show is about, what we do is we binge watch, get some information, watch all the episodes and seasons for it, and then review it for you guys. But before I start anything, I think we should talk about a little elephant in the room. Not a little one, but somewhat of our absence and latent of episodes. Lately, there are things been coming up, and and from the three of us, we can all say we deeply apologize. We've been very busy. Even our lovable researcher here had to take a little vacation. He was on a cruise. How was that cruise, by the way, buddy?
It was good, not gonna lie, but I honestly did wish it wasn't just me and my mom and brother and family friend. I wish I'd be able to bring you two along for it, but I digress. I mean, I had fun, don't get me wrong. It's just, I feel like the cruise could have been also a bit better, I guess. I mean, I'll take what I can get, though, so I ain't complaining.
Right. But yeah, so we're sorry for the absence. Sometimes life keeps us busy, and it's not easy to get all of us together to start binge watching stuff, but we do what we can for you guys.
Yeah, pretty much. We do this for you guys. We do this for, so as we stated back in the episode, way back in the first episode, we're doing this for you guys, so basically we're doing this for basically your benefits. I mean, for us it's pure nostalgia, but for you guys, we're doing this because we want you to know the history of where you can find good old shows, not just cartoons, but in general. Because there's a lot of value in history. Think about that.
We're basically the new nostalgia critic.
Sure, let's go with that. But if anything, it's also sort of a way to help revive those who are born in the 2000 centuries that were born back in the 90s or so, and later on in the 2000s area, because most people don't have much of a childhood like we do, but that's what our job is. But anyway, without further delay, we can tell you this. Crossy's very excited to start reviewing this, but today we're reviewing
Hi Hi Puffy AmiYumi Show! Hi Hi Puffy AmiYumi Show!
Hi Hi Puffy AmiYumi Show.
Pretty much. And
Yee!
Crossy, as you can probably tell, is extremely happy about this. This was one of her childhood favorites, above all, apparently, or at least above many.
Yee!
Though fair warning, the music you may hear in the background is mostly going to be OST because we're not sure if this stuff will be copyrighted or not. But second, sorry. And secondly, this might be a 1 or 2-parter, depending on how much we talk about, because, well, don't get me wrong, it's a good show, but
yeah, but much like Freakazoid, there's a lot of randomness going on with the series. I mean, granted, the premise is pretty obvious once you really start paying attention to it, but other than that, it gets pretty crazy, to say the least.
But before I have Hazard do his lovely research of telling us what Hi Hi Puffy AmiYumi is and stuff, Crossy, would you like to tell us a little something about your childhood of what made you like Hi Hi Puffy AmiYumi?
Let's just say, I mean, if I can, as far back as I can remember, I kind of liked the show from, it was at a first glance, and then, I watched a few episodes of it when I was a kid, when, it was probably during my elementary days, so, it was around the time Cartoon Network was good. I just can't remember much when I was a kid, but I remember looking at the show, and they used to have all the toys and stuff. Well, not all the toys, but some. And
Right.
yeah,
Well,
like
it's always good. And I figured why not have her give her a little history, because since she's a big fan of looking at this, me and hasn't even enjoyed hell. It's even part of my childhood, but no one can replace Crossy's love for this show. But anyway, I guess without further delay, Hazard, why don't you take us to your lab and drawing board and tell us what we need to know, huh?
Okay, first off, fuckface, I just have my research table and my laptop. If I were ever have a lab, you'd have to be really worried about what I'd be cooking up in there.
Oh no,
Second.
Frankenstein is back to work. Anyway, just tell us what we need to know, Bookworm.
Anyway, Hi Hi Puffy AmiYumi, believe it or not, it's about basically two rock stars from Japan, as the name pretty much implies, but there's more to it than just that. Believe it or not, this was actually a show made right here in the United States of America, contrary to what some people might believe. And it was created by Sam Register, who is a huge fan of Hi Hi Puffy AmiYumi, or as they're known outside of the U.S., they're known as Puffy. They had to change their name to Puffy AmiYumi because of, I guess, copyright issues or something like that. I don't remember all the details behind it, even with the research I dug up. But the point is, Sam Register wanted to basically bring his love of the band and their music to the U.S., and he did that by basically making his show.
Mm-hmm.
And the two pop stars in question, which is basically Ami and Yumi, well, specifically they're named Ami Onuki, who in the series is a
and Yumi
is a preppy-
Yoshimura.
Yes, and Ami is basically a peppy, optimistic schoolgirl, where Yumi is a sarcastic, rough and tough punk rocker. And
Oh,
also
female
rolls
hazard.
around-
There we go.
Say what?
I was like, oh, female hazard. Let's go.
Fuck your couch. Anyway, also revolves around their manager, Kaz Harada, who, let's face it, he's a greedy little shit.
But we'll get more into that later. But tell us more about the show, like how if the pop stars actually approved of the show, or like was the reason why
Well,
it stopped. All that.
As I said, the show is actually based on two real-life pop rock stars, Ami and Yumi. And right now, believe it or not, they're still currently active in their careers. They've been active since roughly, I think, the mid-90s.
Mm-hmm.
And they're currently in their 40s, and they're still basically making music and bringing their love of their music to people everywhere.
They grew up so fast, don't they?
Yes.
He.
And of course, obviously, there's going to be some different exaggerated personalities and whatnot. Believe it or not, contrary to popular belief as well, the actual Ami and Yumi did not voice their cartoon counterparts. They were voiced by two completely different people altogether. Yumi was actually voiced by Grey DeLisle, who's most infamously known for voicing characters such as Raven from Teen Titans. And Ami Onuki was actually voiced by Janice Kawaii, who was essentially Dr. Wakeman in My Life as a Teenage Robot. Justin, you know that series better than I do.
Wait.
Yes.
I think you got those two mixed up.
No, I
Grey
didn't.
DeLisle
No, she didn't.
No, Grey DeLisle voiced Raven. I checked.
No, that was Tara Strong. That was Tara Strong that voiced
No,
Raven.
trust me.
Oh, you're thinking of a different person.
Oh, wait, my bad. My bad. I can be wrong at times. Sorry. But Grey DeLisle did voice if I remember correctly. She voiced Sam Manson from Danny Phantom and Vicky from Fairly Odd Parents.
There you go.
Yep. Dang.
My mistake, guys. Even the researchers have their off days. But anyway, I do go into more detail on Grey DeLisle's filmography, but that's way too fucking much. So, moving on from there.
Yeah, we're not here to discuss about the filmography or the voice actors much, because if you don't know them, then you don't know them. If you know them, then good for you. But we're mostly to discuss the show. But
Right.
anywho, we discussed what the show was. Did we discuss what the show's about? Yeah or no?
Well, not entirely. So according to Sam Register himself, who again created the series, the target audience was originally the target demographic. The audience was basically boys and girls from ages 6 to 11. However, because of its wild popularity, it also has a huge following of teen to adult fans of both the cartoon and the real life Ami and Yumi. And Register, who again is a huge fan of Puffy AmiYumi, he wanted to basically spread their fame around. So some a little bit later, and here you go. He basically made the series a huge success. The series features a lot of random adventures of the animated versions of the duo. There is some continuity if you know where to look. And they have been immensely popular in Japan since making their debut back in 1996. And as of right now, they have their own US albums. And put it this way, Crossy will here can vouch. Their music, even to this day, from back when they did Puffy AmiYumi, the music for that, it is still wildly popular. Hell, they even did the intro music for the original Teen Titans.
Yep. And also did that one song in Teen Titans Go, but I don't want to
count
rant.
Teen Titans Go.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about that.
But also, aside from that, you could, like Hazard says, if you listen to the show, there are major parts of the show where you hear a majority of Puffy songs in there, and you probably would even enjoy them yourselves, like the three of us did.
We would love to play a sample of it, but we're trying to avoid potential copyright here, so unfortunately we can't.
Well, yeah, like there's some songs that are allowed, like their first album, like that.
Well, let's not worry about that. Let's try to get back on track here.
Yeah, back on track.
And at the time, believe it or not, the cartoon was the only one at the time produced entirely in the U.S., making the choice of characters extremely ironic. Like, this was all US based. Usually when it comes to cartoons, it's usually a collab between artists and animators of different countries. But in this case, this was completely US based, which is, again, extremely ironic considering the characters that the show is about were in Japanese.
Pretty much, especially since most shows nowadays would usually start off in Japan first and then make their way here to the US.
Or in some cases, like, say, Code Lyoko, they would start in France and go outward.
Right. But we're just saying, like, shows could start anywhere, and sometimes it would start in the U.S. and come to the U.S. But this one started in the U.S. and, who knows, probably went worldwide as well.
Yeah, basically. But also, a lot of the inspiration for some of the show's comedy sketches were basically based off of and influenced by basically anime, by shows such as Thundercats, and old Warner Bros. Cartoons, as well as Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and a lot more. Hell, some of the show's crew members included various writers from Cat Dog, including Stephen Banks.
Okay, go. Alright, let me stop.
And believe it or not, Sam Register, this was not a guaranteed plan at the time when Register tried to make this a thing. He basically pitched the idea of having their own television series on Cartoon Network, and afterwards, Renegade Animation basically developed a test short to make the channel greenlight the show's production. And again, this was basically a hit or miss with the executives back then. So this series could have easily never happened.
Yeah, but I think the three of us can say we're glad it did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But we'll talk more about it if we like it or not at the end.
And believe it or not, here's what happened essentially. When Renegade Renegade at the time were also making intros and test shorts for other cartoons and intros. For other Cartoon Network pilots before Puffy AmiYumi. So there were several before that were in line that could have easily been produced ahead of them. But what happened was, let's see, two of which featured Captain Sturdy, and let's see, the originals, they were ultimately rejected. So this was an indication that Puffy AmiYumi could easily hit the rejection bin. Now, here's the thing. The pilot episode was made, but it was never broadcasted. That's why there's no pilot episode.
Yeah. Well, at least until you can look on YouTube.
Yeah, so you'd have to really hunt it down, assuming they ever posted it, but they never actually officially broadcast.
Anyway,
And
I guess now that...
Let's see here.
Go ahead.
The entire pilot was founded by series director Daryl Van Sitters. And the series was officially announced as Cartoon Network's upfront on February 26, 2004. It was going to be produced in December 2004, but it was pushed back for reasons that weren't fully stated.
Right. Anywho, I guess now that we got the basics about the show, let's get into some of the characters, shall we?
Let's.
Just note, it might be a short discussion because there are some characters, but they're
Basically,
mostly all over the.
a lot of one-off characters or just a lot of semi-recurring characters, but we're just going with the most consistent ones because if we went with literally every single character in the series, there would be like way too much to discuss, and it would just be a lot of garble, in my opinion.
And we don't want to make the we don't want to make the review longer than it is.
Consider the house rocked.